Here we are live. I was really impressed, Trudie, by your wine presentation, because it was really professional, super well prepared, and I was really impressed, honestly. And also Riccardo, it was like, oh goodness, Trudie, you really fantastic.
Well, Riccardo, why were you so surprised that I know what the wines are?
We are going to change the name of the rosé. We call new winemaker Trudie.
By the way, guys, you know, I was telling you, Trudie and Riccardo, Tony, that I live in Brighton, and here in the UK, they started to produce wine, bubbly wine. There are Ridgeview and Night Timber, other bubbly wines, and from what I understood, the kind of earth and ground is start to be appropriate to have some decent wine. I don't know. Riccardo probably knows better than me, but I was really impressed by the interest in the wine industry here.
Yeah, well, now with climate change, there's a lot of good sparkling coming out of the UK. Yeah. But Riccardo really, can speak to that more than I can. But it's very impressive to see that that's happening in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
8 years ago, when I came here, I would say that wine was not there. But now also the culture and the general level of interest in wine starts to be much better, I would say. And on the other side, it's very interesting that you went to buy the beautiful Tenute Palagio. So I was curious to start from there. First of all, when did you decide to buy this incredible place?
Well, I think what was the deciding factor was when we had our Elliot in Italy, in Pisa, who's 30 now, and it was the same year that Sting had lost both his parents, and I was pregnant with Elliot, and it was sort of like an extraordinary time of mourning for two parents lost in a year, and they were both under 60, and the birth of our child. So I think that we were looking for, and Sting was wanted to write an album really that was an homage to them both. And so we decided Italy would be a sort of like a wonderful place, and we would be cheered by the weather and the food, and I wasn't nervous at all about having a child there. So we rented a beautiful house just outside of Pisa, and I gave birth to Elliot, and Sting gave birth to Soul Cages. And from then on, it was like really Italy's become our new home. It was we were there for 3 months, and I fell in love with the place, the people, the food, the wine, the kindness towards children, that children are treated like they're magical creatures, and that everybody, all Italians love kids. They're so welcomed at restaurants. And I said to Sting, you know, this would be a wonderful life for us as well as England, because growing up, he in Newcastle and me in the Midlands, we didn't, as kids, really have many good holidays to speak of, and so this was really this could be a wonderful new beginning for us. So 7 years later, we found Il Palagio, and a year ago we found Riccardo Cotarella. Sorry?
Well, when you found Il Palagio the first time, what was the situation? Was already ready, everything in place, the wine ready to go? I mean, what was the situation when you started?
No, the house had sort of fallen into some disrepair, and the vineyards were really all very messed up, and not successful winemaking, I would say, at all. But for the first couple of years, I just wanted to get the house and the garden ready, and then I kept on looking at the broken down vineyards and thought, you know, maybe as I love gardening and love growing things in the garden, maybe this is just the natural extension. So so we started to make wines, and Alan York was their first winemaker, and then Paolo Coccionia. And then when we met Riccardo, was really sort of like instantly, wow, you know, I'd love to be at Riccardo's side and to learn much more about enology and viticulture than I actually know. So he's a fantastic mentor and teacher to Sting and I, who've really now grappling with, you know, how we make our wines better with Riccardo's teaching and mentorship in our vineyard and in our winery, and we're having a wonderful time doing it.
How much time do you spend there? By the way, Trudie, I start to be scared because my wife is a garden designer. So I'm scared now that she will come to me one day and say, let's start together to make some wines. You know, if this connection is so easy to jump, is so easy to make, maybe something that will happen. I don't know.
Well, you know, you must always listen to your wife.
That's, I mean, 100%. I mean, this is absolutely, I'm not the one who decide anyway. So this is
exactly.
Yes,
just go with it.
Yeah, I mean, was Woody Allen saying that men decide everything, women just the most important things. So that's exactly how it works. You know, there is no decisional power. And how do you meet Tony and Riccardo with Trudie? How went the connection there? Let's unmute you guys so that you can. Tony, how did you meet Trudie?
I met Trudie Stalin and Sting in 2009. Friend of ours at that moment, Paolo Coccionia, who was an enologist, he presented me the project and the winery. And for me, it was very, very interesting. I just love it all, energy and the soul in the winery. And from there, all began.
Okay. And Riccardo, when did you jump in?
Riccardo.
Basically, I met Trudie and Sting last year in July, August. And I knew Sting like a singer. I was very passionate about his song. I met Trudie too late, but finally I met her. And believe me, for me, they are two fantastic people. I love them, and they realize all my passion in this venture. Basically, I say no more than 10, 20 years. I go back, when I was younger, the same enthusiasm, the same passion, because they deserve absolutely that I produce the best wine for them.
I love it. I don't understand why you say that you met Trudie too late. I don't know if it was.
I met Trudie before, but unfortunately, I met her just in last year. I prefer to meet her before.
I understood that you met her too late because she met Sting before than you, but it wasn't before. Sorry. Got it. But
Maria would kill me.
Riccardo, I sorry.
Kiss me.
But how is often, as you, Trudie, I know a lot of celebrities and incredible people, successful people in every sector. And there is, let's say, a portion of some celebrities that it's very difficult to work with them in any sector because they want to decide. They think they know everything. Even, if you coach them in table tennis and they don't know anything, they still think, I'm a super successful businessman, and so I decide what is right. So I wonder how the relationship went, and for you, Riccardo, how was the collaboration to make it in a way that you can create great wine, you can promote it in the right way, and can work together?
Well, I mean, the first thing I would say is Riccardo is like the rock star of winemakers renowned in the world. So, it's not like he needed our broken down. Well, our vineyard was not so broken down when he came to it, but it definitely needed new rules around it and new disciplines to make the wines, to improve to the level that we think that they're really have improved and are improving. So, you know, Riccardo commands a lot of respect because of his obviously he's known around, not just in Italy. He has vineyards to take care of throughout the world, even in Japan. I think there are 139 of us. So, wow. You know, that doesn't come to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about and dealing with, and all the different soil types. And he's very strict, Riccardo, I would say, with the discipline that is in the winery and the vineyard. And I think that was really needed to really sort of like, for everybody to understand this is serious, and if we're going to go places, we do it with every minute of every day, absolute dedication, and that has really turned things around. And the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, and we've got these kind of like gorgeous wines. This is our beautiful Vermentino that came out this year. Called Baci sulla Bocca, very audacious, I've been told.
Wow, yeah, I was saying, like, it's a very, like, kissy title.
Well, Riccardo asked me to name the wine when I tasted it, and it was because we've been so masked, you know, with the COVID, and have not been as playful as with each other as we, you know, were, you know, hugging and kissing and all of that. But so when I tasted the wine, he said, "What do you think? And what do you want to call it?" And I said, "Well, it tastes like a kiss on the mouth. That's the taste of the wine." And so it was translated for me as Baci sulla Bocca, and it's like, that's the title. That's a great title, because it's sort of it is a sort of like a beautiful summer. But it's a little complex. But it's light, bright, very citrusy, I would say, and has that little complexity that is a little, I don't know what.
I love it.
The how do you say I don't know what in Italian? No.
How do you say them again?
We say in French, right? Je ne sais quoi in it, of the taste. So after I've gone beyond the citrusy stuff, there's a sort of like a little bit more complexity that is growing in the wine, because it's very, very new at the moment. But it's very delicious.
Look, I love the
name. Ask Riccardo. Elegant. Elegant's a good description of it. It is an elegant wine.
Question for Riccardo, and then I want to go to Tony for a sales question immediately. It came up in my mind. But Riccardo first, when you go into a new winery, you start to work with a new project. Trudie said you're also very strict. Good. Can you give us an example of what are the first things that you start to change, and what are your guidelines to start to create a project according to your vision?
Well, first of all, it's better that you know that this area is not considered too much vocated for the great wines, but the people think about this. And for me, this is sort of the challenge. Why is not vocated? Maybe because before them through this thing, nobody tried to produce the great wines. And with the answer, first of all, with the harvest 2020. So great wines that is sometimes more complex, more richer than the red wine from Bulgaria, for example, about the IGT Tuscany, and also for the Chianti. We bought the Chianti Riserva 2018, just a few days ago. I'm sure that we're going to get a very big surprise, so many satisfactions about this wine, because I made the blend testing with the hard Chianti, very famous from classic area. So we're going to meet so many surprises about our wines. It is one for me is a challenge because I like to show to the people that before to say this area is not vocated or is vocated, please try to produce great wines. After you can judge, not before.
Yeah. Without prejudice. And what do you do to start changing things that maybe are not working perfectly, and you try to give it a twist to make it a great wine?
About the wine that I met in the winery for the 2018, 2019 vintage, we made very big, strict selection. Basically, we select just a few hectoliters for producing the best wine. But the best surprise will be 2020. What I met, first, as you know, the red wine comes 99% from the vineyard. The white wine comes from 51% of the vineyard. But if you don't have the right characteristics in the grapes, you cannot produce the great wines. It means, first of all, manage the green part of the vine. Second, manage the quantity of the bunch per plant. Third, leave the grapes, leave the bunch on the plant more time is possible. Don't worry about the sugar percentage. It's not important. It's important to get the ripeness. This is not the secret. It's my philosophy. As you know, we can run some risk to produce an unbelievable wine. If you want to produce a normal wine, please, okay, pick the grapes in September or maybe at the first day of October. You can produce a good wine without defect, but this is not our goal. We want to produce a red wine that can represent the flagship of the Tuscany. This is our goal. I'm quite sure, I cannot say sure because, as you know, we are under the influence of the climate, okay? But with the normal season, or the good season, we are going to produce the wine that cannot ask other characteristics from the other part of the Tuscany. I'm completely sure. And 2020 will be the first show about my philosophy.
Wow, Trudie, Riccardo is confident, so I believe you 100%, Riccardo. I can't wait to taste it. I mean, that's my.
No, don't believe me. Taste the wine.
I will taste the wine, and I tell you, I'll do a blind test, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Trudie, how much time do you spend during the year at the Palagio?
In the lockdown, we've been there a lot, and so normally it has been 3 or 4 times a year. Sting records a lot of music there. I'm going back in 2 weeks' time, and we're going to present our wines to the press for the first time, which we're very excited about. And then I'll be there for until September, and then wherever, whatever movie I'm working on, I'll go to wherever we're shooting.
Yeah, got it. I'm back because I'm curious about your movie next projects. Tony, question about selling. Even if you have a great wine today, then you have to sell. You have to promote it. You have to sell it. There are, for instance, here in UK, I often speak with friends from Italy and say, guys, I mean, the Spain is promoting Rioja so much, and South Africa and Stellenbosch, and there are wines from all over the world. There is a big push in promoting new wines all the time. So it's not easy to get visibility and sell wines. How do you move to in this case to sell wines, to talk with distributors? So what's the strategy there?
Okay, I see the winery as equilateral triangle, where we have one side owners. That means first thing, and my goal is to understand what owners are looking for. What is their vision? What they would like to do. In other side, we have a enologist, which one at that point is Riccardo Cotarella, and I'm going to interpret his vision of the wine. Like, for example, Riccardo mentioned Chianti Riserva. This bottle, it's open, and I have the wine already in the glass, and the bottle I opened 5 days ago. That means I'm 5th day tasting the open bottle to see actually evolution of this wine in the glass. It's when I'm trying to understand really what he seen in this bottle. That means once I had these points, I will say the third part of this triangle is the soil. What is the Palagio? Our grapes, our identity. Putting these things together, my communication can be very simple because I don't have to talk. Wine is going to talk for itself, and what I'm going to do, I can just add wherever it's needed to be added, because I think the silence when the people tasting wine, it's the most beautiful part because we're thinking, smelling, enjoying, and anything. If I add anything on top of that, it can be something too much. And when we say the word sell, I always think that the word to please is much more appropriate, because I like when the people and when the customers, public, it's pleased. And I tell you that this triangle today, how I see, it's really amazing. With all due respect for Trudie, Staller and Sting and their vision, it's enormous. Riccardo Cotarella and our soil. And I think that we are now really ready to show to the world that our wines are complete.
One thing I'm curious about, Trudie, and tell me if I'm wrong or is my misconception. To be already famous like you and Sting, on one side is really good because you can immediately have visibility, attention, gather media, and so on. On the other side, is easy to dismiss when you do something outside your sector, outside of music, outside of movies, and sometimes people just has this prejudice, maybe. So it's harder. You have to work harder to be a legitimate player in a new sector. How do you play in this scenario? Do you see it like, or maybe I'm just totally wrong and it's just my feeling? I don't know how you say it.
I mean, there are a lot of celebrities, famous people who are making wines now, and I'm not going to pass judgment on any of them, but all good things come with the more practice that you have, the better anything gets. The 10,000 hours, to become a professional, right? That's what they say. 10,000 hours.
The Malcolm Gladwell theory. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not like that we met Riccardo last year and suddenly we've got great wines. It's not that. It's been a process. We pulled out a lot of vines in 2002 that were really very, old and damaged and not producing anything. And Alan.
Oh, lost Trudie 1 second. Let's see if she reconnects. All right, no worries. She'll be back. Yeah, because sometimes, let's see, to reconnect. Sometimes you have the problem that since you're famous, then people don't take it too seriously enough when you do something else. But here you have a fantastic team, and what you have to try the wine, and forget about who is the producer, probably. Oh, here's Trudie back. Hello, Trudie.
Was it just we all went away? I thought no.
Oh no, we just lost you. We thought you went to try a bit of the new wine batch in book, and then come back. So we didn't want to.
Still here.
Still there. Yeah.
So I'm not sure where I got to before I got cut off, but anyway, it was. I think I was talking about the vineyards to evolve a vineyard isn't something that is done overnight or over a year or over 3 years. So since 2007, we've been producing wines at Il Palagio. And the more that you investigate what you've done in your vineyard, the more that you have an awareness that a lot of things have not been working for you. And that means that you double down on as we've talked about, with the discipline in the winery, in the vineyard, and our team taught better winemaking principles than perhaps they knew before. And all of this is important. It's my father was a farmer, and it's like the whole day is really about the tending and the caring of the estate that you work for. In his case, it was 100 acres. In our case, it's hectares of vineyard, and we have olive groves, and we also create a lot of honey. And I think that what my dad taught me was that diversity within a garden or within a farm is an incredibly important thing for the enrichment of the soil, to have bird life and to have worms in the soils, and to have this very aliveness, what bees bring to a piece of property is unquantifiable. I think they have an incredible mystery to them, and God knows it's very worrying with what's happening to their populations because of the various funguses and the infestations that are happening. So to keep the vineyards like in really healthful situation is, and to be mindful of that first and foremost, is it doesn't matter if you're a rock star or you're an accountant or who you are. If you have a vineyard to tend, this is serious work, and it's work that happens every day of the year.
Yeah, got it. And when you are at Palagio, what's your typical day?
My typical day in Palagio, they sort of vary, really. I mean, I love a cappuccino in the morning. And then I ride my horses sometimes. We have horses there, and we have our dogs, so they're always the first people to consider, are the dogs in the morning. And then depending on the day, we'll check in with Riccardo, or Riccardo will be coming to the vineyard and the winery, and we've just had a wonderful time this spring in tasting all the new wines, bottling and labeling, and Sting and me lend a hand with the bottling and the labeling. And then we'll go into the summer where it can get very hot in August, and we start praying. We start praying that we don't have too much rain. We don't have too little rain. We don't have too much sun, but we don't have too little sun. And that's a sort of, that always brings me back to the life with my dad in the garden. My father was obsessed with the weather. So it's sort of like fun to be back again, sort of with him, I say in the mornings when I'm up, okay, because my father is, not with us anymore, but I say, okay, Harry, what is it going to be today? So it's a lovely memory that I have about always talking about the weather. They say English people anyway talk about the weather more than anything else.
All the time. I never talk about weather. I spoke about weather in my life, and since I live in Brighton, every day, my first thing, I'm on the weather app, and it's only, I don't know, because your life is influenced by it. So that's why you talk about. I have a silly question for you, Riccardo. If it's really silly, tell me. After a few months of lockdown, I was talking with a friend of mine, and it was the moment that was possible, like to meet two persons, something like that. So we went for a bottle of wine, and I said, what wine would you like? Which wine would you like? And he said, screw top, meaning just open it fast. Anything that opens fast so that I can drink it fast. That was the idea, okay? But that was opening the question in my head. What is a good... I don't know how you say in English, to close the wine. Is it better cork? Is it better the screw top? plastic, or I mean, there are so many options now. And so I was curious to know what's the situation at the moment from an expert point of view. What kind of what's the best way to preserve the wine?
Well, it depends on the wine. Which wine you want to close means. For the red wine, it's impossible to use. For the red wine that can age for many years in the bottle, it's absolutely a mistake. Use the screw cap, absolutely,
Right.
because the wine needs to breathe. No? For evolving is a color, is smell, is a taste, is a personality. To balance is characteristic. For the young wine, especially white, why not? Many people use the screw cap because the wine doesn't need to breathe from outside. The problem is that sometimes the cork is not so good because the last time is not just the defect of the cork smell defect, but also because the cork changed the evolution of the wine. Many times, if I taste, I don't know, 10 bottles from the same wine, bottling the same day, keeping the same place, many times I can find different wines.
Right.
This is the big problem about using the corkscrew. But we don't have any other opportunity for the wine that can age for many, many years. This is the situation.
Got it.
It's not so rare that you can find very expensive bottle of the wine that it's undrinkable because the cork is of the invasion of the smell of the wine. Not just the smell, also the taste, of course. But don't think about the screw cap for the wine that can age red and white. Also, the white wine that can age for 3, 4, 5 years cannot stay with the screw cap. Absolutely.
I got it. Because I
Don't
saw
speak about plastic. Plastic is excused 100%.
Okay, got it. I got it.
Plastic wrongs the wine.
I have this prejudice as Italian that if I see a screw cap, I think it's a bad wine. This is my immediate, I don't know, thinking. I don't know if it's right or wrong. But I see the white, the Sauvignon Blanc, New Zealand wines, they all use screw cap, basically.
Yes, also the customer has to change his behavior with the wine. Because as you know, the cork is the story of the wine. It's
Right.
a historic system to close the bottle. But we have to know these type of problems, hoping that something change, especially with the now, as you know, there is a big consume of the cork in the world, and the producer of the cork cannot age for right years the cork before to produce the cork. Do you understand?
Okay. I will check the next time that I with more attention. But yeah, I understand that is to when you need to age a wine properly. Yeah, I mean you need the right kind of closing. Tony, question about COVID. What was the impact on sales? Did and pleasing, as you said before? What was the impact on pleasing during the COVID? Did it change? The promotion change? More social media? More e-commerce? What's happening there?
Yeah, I think it was very difficult to understand because for everybody it was a difficult moment in any sector, not only in the wine business. I would like, at the beginning, many producers, many winemakers, they thought that online sales, it's only solution and immediate solution. But I don't want to say it's wrong, but to develop a customer list, you need years. That means, from my point of view, it's better that we use somebody who is already has expertise, because online, unfortunately, has brought us back a little bit more on our telephones. No, I mean, this lockdown has brought us back that we now purchasing shoes online, we're purchasing wine online, we're purchasing everything online. And what happened actually, there's only numbers. Number it's a price, number it's a rating, numbers and numbers. For me, it's suffering because I like the human relationship. As you can understand how romantic it's when you speak with the wine bar, when you speak with the barman and with the sommelier. No, that means it was, let's say, a very difficult moment for everybody. I'm not favor for the solution on e-commerce online. The things are getting better today for sure, and I'm positive that all this will a little bit change. Sales, Tenuto il Palagio had really, I would say, the positive year. Like everybody, we had little lost. But what happened? The consumer has been drinking little. He was spending a little more on the wine. Start looking for quality. The consumption, yes, consumption has get a little up. But it's not nice to say that people drinking more of the problems. It's not of that. People had more time for themselves to spend at home. Maybe once Sunday, Saturday, Sunday were holidays. 7 days per week became holidays. The positive thing, as I said, I would like to repeat that we can say that people start spending a little more on the bottle of wine, because you can imagine you are not going to restaurants are not spending any more for food and wine. Now I can afford something more. Yeah, and this is it. No, everything was unpredictable and very tough to understand what's going to happen. But I think that whoever was established well in the market has done a good job. The new kids on the block and whoever was insecure, they suffered this. But anyway.
Yeah. Got it. About social media, Trudie, and online. If we go into movie, we have 5 minutes, and then I'll let you go back to your activities. What's the situation there? Because during the COVID, I saw Netflix, Amazon, a lot of players now, Disney Plus, HBO, everyone, going online. Theaters closed, so they had to put the movies online first and try to create streaming platforms and get ready for these new scenarios. And I saw a lot of difficult situations there because you couldn't produce the movie, because you couldn't go on the set, at least during last year. And on the other side, a lot of hunger for content, because people at home, we were watching tons of movies and series. What's the situation now from a filmmaker perspective that you're living now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So last March, when the COVID lockdown began in England, I was a week away from shooting a movie in Hertfordshire starring Keira Knightley. It's a Christmas movie. So there's Keira and Roman Griffin, who was the young man in Jojo Rabbit. And it's a very, very dark Christmas story. And so we had to call it because the news was so extraordinary about COVID that we said, okay, we're locking down, before Boris Johnson locked the country down, which impacted us hugely, because when you're making a $2 million picture, which is what it was, and the government don't call the global pandemic, which means you can't call the force majeure yourself. It has to be called. So it meant that we weren't insured to finish the movie. Thanks God we were only a few days, but some movies just had to abandon the show, and I don't know what will happen to my fellow filmmakers who are in that predicament. So that was pretty. If you're an independent filmmaker, you're making movies between $1 to sort of $7 million, and so you're often very reliant on your investors to come up with $100,000 or 50 or whatever. We've always, Celine Rattray and myself, who are 10 years old as a duo in a production partnership this May, in fact. And looking back, it's really the death knell of independent making pictures is right now, I think, and the pandemic really has pushed it towards the end. And I think that I'm hoping that governments will realize. I know the French really have done a lot to keep their industry going, that people actually love being in cinemas. They do. I think this sort of like the sense of shared experience is really important for human beings. The shared experience of, I'd rather drink a glass of wine with Tony and Riccardo than drink one on my own. For example, we want to share this drinking wine with each other, like we want to share a movie together. What did you think of it? What did you think of her performance? We all buzz afterwards. And with the television, I'm not berating television at all, because I watch TV and enjoy a lot of Netflix movies like everybody else. But cinema is hugely important to us as a community, because it denotes that we're out in the world, and being out in the world is very, very important to us all. So the shared experience of these stories is we'll share that experience afterwards.
Another thing that I was thinking through this, that with this situation where Netflix, Amazon, and everyone else push a lot of movies and series every day, basically. So there is a quantity market there. And what I miss, honestly, is a bit of expectation. Say, all right, the new, I don't know, Mission Impossible is coming in 6 months, and you wait for it, and there is an event that you are, looking for. Like this is, you turn on and say, all right, what do we have today? 3 movies, 2 series, all right, and tomorrow. So it's a quantitative approach that, I don't know, my feeling as a user is like, it decreased the perception of movie quality, and you get used like to a quality that is a little bit better, a little bit worse, and is okay, and I miss the going to the cinema for the big premiere. And I think it's interesting, it's important. Otherwise, everything is the same.
Well, they can coexist. There are some. I think that that television has never been as good as it is right now in terms of the content. And in the pandemic, I watched some really great series, and
Queens of Gambit. I loved, for instance, Queens of Gambit.
Yeah, brilliant. I saw that too, and Messiah I enjoyed, and Fowler I loved. Sort of like watching the sort of the so-called international content, and of course, like really appreciating that movies are shot in the original language and you get subtitled. It's been very good for us all to look at subtitles on the screen, to get used to it, because in America, if you have a film with a foreign language, that you can't ever have too many subtitles. Your movie wouldn't have got bought. And I think that has really, that's at least some good will have changed thanks to Netflix and Amazon and those that are having original language pictures.
That's true. Where Italy Gomorrah, that in English is Gomorrah with the H at the end, which is very weird for Italian. I don't know why I was choosing that. But also Dark on Netflix was a German series. And I mean, it was in German. I would have never watched a German movie, but in this way, you get a lot of international stuff. Do you have any new project you're working on that you can reveal to us?
Yes. So I've just finished, well, not finished production. We're into the edit now of a Polish movie called Infinite Storm, starring Naomi Watts and Billy Howell, who's English, who's star of The Serpent. I don't know if you've watched that series.
I loved The Serpent. I love it. The serial killer with the incredible story, by the way.
So Billy's a fantastic actor.
Fantastic actor.
And so it's a true story that happened on Mount Washington in 2010, where a woman who knows the hiking trails of Mount Washington, which is a ferocious mountain known sort of like to claim more lives than any other mountain in the world, not because of it's high, but because the weather systems just change so dramatically. And Pam Bales, our heroine, who this is based on, goes out to rescue a young man who actually doesn't want to be rescued. He's gone to he's gone to take his life. And so it's a very dark film set in. We shot it actually in Slovenia during COVID, and sort of every day having to deal with the protocols, which are very strict, and just sort of hoping and praying we were all going to be okay. But most of it was shot in -8 degrees, so sort of like we all had masks on anyway.
A lot of masks and a lot of Palagio wines to get warm after the show.
Yeah, I did actually take a case over there. They were very grateful.
That would be fantastic. All right, I would say that it's we have to stop here. It was really interesting, and congrats for everything. Is a fantastic project. Congrats, Trudie, both for the wine and your filmmaking career. And Tony, let's keep in touch. Riccardo, thanks for the lesson. Basically, when Riccardo speaks, it's always like a masterclass, and you need a notepad to write down what he says. So it was very interesting, and we'll keep in touch. And I hope to meet for a good chin chin with some good Bacio sulla Bocca wine one of those days.
Or we could. New day.
That's the other.
Our great rosé.
Don't forget the red wine.
Thank you so much.
I won't forget the red wines, Riccardo, but where are they?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to say, Riccardo, the
only Tony gets a glass of the red.
My triangle.
Yeah, only Tony has the red wine at the moment, so it's a special edition. Very good. Trudie, thank you so much. Bye, Tony, Riccardo, and see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye. Ciao, ciao.